mentoring is never about ourselves, right? In fact, to mentor, we're giving of ourselves. Yet if we look at, and it's interesting as I sit back and study all the time, every free minute we get, do an audit and say, where am I putting that time? Am I putting it in others or in myself?
Welcome back to ReedFlections, a podcast on life, leadership, and learning. I'm Art Calderon. I'm here with Reed Nyffeler. Reed is a CEO of a growing global company, a father, a husband, a local leader here in the heartland of America. A brief recap, as we often do, because we are moving along on our journey. We started talking about priorities. We moved into habits, know your purpose, start your journey. Remember that one? Be present on purpose, to be present on purpose. And finally, we're in our final section, a legacy of purpose. Now, episode 27. That's a lot of time we've been spending together, Reed. We're going to talk about authentically mentor. So tell us about mentorship. What place does that have in creating a legacy of purpose?
Yeah, and as we're kind of building on top of investing in others, and then we align, the next natural step is mentorship, right? Because if we've decided to invest in someone, we then determine the alignment we're going to have with them. Now, what do we do with that? We mentor, right? Because it is always my intent and purpose to make progress. So even if I align with someone today and we're our best selves today, can we be better tomorrow? And that's ultimately where we mentor, and we do so in an authentic way. And I think that word is so critical to be here because many people say, will you mentor me? And we can naturally do that. And sometimes mentorship can become manipulation, right? There's people that will mentor you for their benefit. And I would consider that manipulation.
Oh.
But authentically mentoring means that I'm developing you for your benefit. We're doing it so they can live a better life.
They may even do so well that they leave you.
That's
right?
exactly right. Right. We want them to develop and move on because in every organization, right? In fact, part of the reason that I'm actually at this organization is because I felt like I had developed beyond the opportunities at the previous organization.
Oh.
So when I was working at other organizations, I had developed to a degree where I thought that maybe it was time for me to take a more prominent leadership role. And, in those circumstances, we need to leave. And that may not benefit the organization we left. And sometimes it may even hurt it. But if the leader that's investing us is authentically mentoring us, they're going to be happy about that, right? And so, I get people that resign here all the time. It happens. We're a big organization and regularly, and they move on. And I say, I hope as an end that you are better for your time here. And I hope you can bring that better to the next organization and your families, right? Because I really do candidly care that they have a better life because of their time here, no matter how brief it is, right? So we do a big internship training program in the summer. And we probably had 300, 400 interns, maybe more. And, we probably have 4 or 5, maybe 6 that have worked here for any period of time afterwards. And I always tell them, this internship is not about me and it's not about the money. Those are the two things that it's not about. Why? Because only 1% of that group was actually going to come work here, maybe even for any duration beyond the internship. Number 2 is whatever money you make in this internship is going to be long gone. I mean, no matter how much it is, you pick a number, you're going to have expenses that are going to compensate for that over a short period of time.
It's not enough to retire on.
No, and not at 20 something anyways. Yeah. And in that case, then it's all about the mentorship. I look back at an internship I had in college, that those things that I learned there, I'm still applying today. That's where the real value is. And specifically, I remember an internship I had, and it has led to the beginning of my sales career. I was in college and I had this college coupons example. And I was basically going to small businesses and I was selling ads in a little coupon book that I would then put in the mailboxes of the college students. So, pizza, and I don't know if college students buy anything else at the time, but whatever else they would buy, I'd go to every pizza place and they get a little coupon, $1 off and blah, blah, blah. And so I'd go place to place to place. And I remember sitting through that sales training. And while I was there, it was just it was so clear to me this is what my calling is in life in many ways, because here was a leader, probably 25, 30 years old. He was in his 40s, maybe late 40s, and he had been through a sales career. And he, at the time, I remember there was probably 30 of us training in this space, and we were going to all the campuses across the country. And he brought us all in, similar to what I'm doing now, actually. And in there, he saw that, and he would kind of facilitate the training, but he also saw something different in me. And he came up to me and he goes, Reed, I think you're going to be the best one this summer. And he said, is there any questions you have for me? I know we're not going to have much time that you'd like to do. I can answer for you now. And it was a form of mentorship.
Mhm.
And he goes, I know this is just a summer job, but I'll be interested and see where your career takes you. And he knew that this was just a summer job with a commission. I mean, however, in my case, he's saying, hey, I know this is a step for you, and maybe the next couple of years I'd like to keep you while you're in college, but afterwards I just kind of want to see where you're at. And so each year through training, he'd watch that process and he would just give me new techniques and approaches. And then ultimately, a couple of times he had contacted me to follow up on some of the things that happened. And in that process, he was essentially mentoring me as a salesperson.
Mhm.
And it was clear that even though he got a win for the period of time I was there, he was doing it for the long term because he loved the profession, right? He loved that as salespeople, we're finding the needs or challenges of anybody, and then ultimately providing a solution that works for them. And he knew that if I were trained appropriately in an authentic way and mentored by him, that I'd be able to do that. We effectively get pushed into something else. And he authentically mentored me in a way that wasn't just a quick one-off transactional sale, but something to build a relationship over time that they would keep coming to buy those coupons, ultimately so he could continue his business. So I recognize that authentic mentorship, and it has applied to me, decades later, that I still remember the story.
Now, mentorship is something I think that is used a lot in our culture, especially in the business setting. Is mentorship for everyone? Are there some things that you have to have in order to either become a good mentor or a good mentee? And is it for everybody? Does everybody have something like that?
No, I think that it's not for everybody. I don't think it's for everybody on either side, right? And because I'll talk to the mentee first and the mentor second. Many times, a bad mentee is looking for validation and affirmation. They basically don't want to develop. They want to be recognized and identified. And that is not a good mentee. They don't come with a learner's mindset. They don't say, okay, I don't need you to tell me all the things I'm good at. I want to tell you the things I can be better. I want you to tell me the things I can be better at. If you're not ready to take responsibility and apply that information that you are learning to make progress, you're a terrible mentee and not capable or ready for it. Now let's go to the mentor. Most mentors are offering tips, not developing a path for progress, right? If we are simply looking for short-term motivation,
Mhm.
if we can go look at quotes online, we can go watch TikTok or whatever, Instagram or whatever you want to do that'll give you an inspirational quote for the day.
Mhm.
But ultimately, are we any better because of that? Or did we just feel better? A true mentor will make you want to be better instead of feel better.
Mm.
And many times, a mentor wants to be liked. People want to be liked, right? Fortunately for me, I don't care about that, right? I don't care who I offend because I want to see progress ultimately.
Uh-huh.
And I recognize, and we'll use this analogy, right? If you ever work out in the gym, the trainer's job is to make you.
No.
Yeah,
But
me
go
neither.
ahead.
But I can assume I talk to people that have,
Okay.
and I don't know why they do, and I'm trying to talk them out of it, but they always try to talk me into it. So I figure that's my appropriate step. But I agree with you, Art. That's where we align. We talked about that in the previous episode. But ultimately, in this case, the physical exertion that you have there is motivated by this trainer.
Uh-huh.
And you may not like them because they're asking you to do something that's tough,
Uh-huh.
right? You are in that case the mentee, and they are the mentor. They know how to appropriately work out. They know what to do that would ultimately give you the lifestyle you're looking for. But if they just say, hey, don't try, you're doing a good job doing nothing, you really hold that bench down good,
Mhm.
no, they're going to push you further and faster. And that's where success comes from, is that progress. We know it's difficult in the moment. We got to push through that pain, and we got to try harder and put the effort in there and say, they may be yelling at us, they may be challenging us, they may be creating a framework, and they may be pushing back on us. But at the same time, they're an effective mentor, right? If we look back in that scenario and say, these are the best trainers, not because they're the easiest on us, and the mentee should say, I want greater results by spending time with the mentor. And then a relationship is fostered over that because of the alignment. And so we want to do so authentically, right? And so, exactly why sometimes by happenstance we meet people and we take feedback and we can be mentored by them because that's authentic. You're sitting on a plane, you're sitting in an office and somebody is offering there. And I try to do this intentionally, right? If I'm on a seat and I can see that somebody's struggling, in a scenario and they want to talk through it all, I'm giving them information on a short period of time. And of course, mentorship can be over extended series of meetings, but in this case, it's usually short term.
So that's actually a little bit of mentorship right there.
Right. And I'm giving them a framework, right? A great mentor gives a framework for performance so that you're not making the right decision in our presence, but in our absence, right? A mentor should develop you to help you make the right decisions in their absence, not of their presence. So going back to the physical trainer, if they are saying, here's your workout and you can only do it with me, are they truly a great trainer? Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do a workout, right? Teach a man to fish and he'll feed himself for a lifetime. A mentor will do that, right? As opposed to provide them fish. While you're here, here's how you fish. And so a mentor is designed to give you a framework so that you can make a good decisions in their absence, not establish in their presence. And that's where mentorship and the mentor should give a framework that helps them make good decisions that can make progress in life.
Now, in the business world is about business. And the company that you run, for example, grown exponentially in a lot of different ways, revenue and so forth. You're making hundreds of decisions every day. You have people pulling at you. Is that really a place where you can have some sort of mentorship relationship? Is there a difference? Can it be formal and informal? What does that look like in the business world?
Yes. So I would say that informal is circumstantial or temporal, meaning that they're coming to you say, hey, I really don't know how to handle this. So I had mentioned earlier that we had those interns and I was investing in them. So about 2 years later, an intern called me and said, you know what? I'm a first-time manager. And I was stuck in this circumstance and I really needed somebody to talk to through this. And I thought of you. And so it was around Christmas time and he calls me. I said, okay, what are you dealing with? And he said, I cannot get these. He was kind of supervising contractors, them to align. I said, okay, because you're communicating in an emotional way instead of a structural way. You're saying, hey, you're not doing what I want you to do. You're not meeting my expectations. Instead of setting expectations, that's structural, saying, hey, by this week, I need this, and here's the expectation. Instead of saying you're not meeting my expectations, which is emotional, setting expectations is instructional. It's formational. And so then he was like, that makes total sense. How can I emotionally respond when the structural conversation wasn't there? And so we went back to them and say, hey, I want to make sure that we can align on achieving this progress. And so I'm going to give structural communication instead of emotional communication. And so that was a circumstantial mentoring.
And that took how long? Just one phone call?
One phone call, 20, 30 minutes.
Okay.
And we talked through the scenario and I kind of I heard his perspective and I shared it. So that was informal. On the formal side, people come to me and say, I want to get to this stage in life. I want to be, let's use that analogy. I want to be a manager of contractors. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, what are the characteristics required to do that? And then let's determine. So a formal mentoring has an end goal in mind. And then the structure is built upon that to achieve it, right? And so then I start with saying, okay, where do you feel like you're deficient? Why do you feel like you're not considered for that management position? What do you feel like would be necessary in that management position? Where do you think and who do you think is the most effective manager in that role that you can identify with, and what are the characteristics that are there? And then we do an inventory or an audit of your day-to-day activities and your skill set and say, what do you need to work on and how can I help? So essentially a formal structure would say, where am I trying to go? Mm-hmm. And where am I at currently? And then how do I hope to get there? Right? So let's use Olympic sports as an example. So there is a time that is required for racing sports, let's say swimming, for example. And if you're a swimmer, there's a time that you have to just to qualify to even participate in the Olympic swimming.
Right.
So that's a very distinct and definitive goal, the time and the event. So now what a coach can do, what a mentor can do is break down all the components of your body and the technique, and then put training for endurance and conditioning in order to help you achieve that over an extended period of time. They're going to say, okay, you need to train 90 days in advance. And here's your routine on that day. And you build on top of that routine so that by this period of time with this diet, et cetera, you'll be able to achieve your goal and objective. That is a formal mentoring program, right? They see a destination, they see your current time and your current swim stroke, and they make the necessary adjustments, coaching technique by technique over advanced time in order to achieve that formal structure of mentoring to achieve the goal that you've set before. And so formal, start with the goal and a beginning process, and then lays out a process to achieve the goal over time.
I think sometimes people who either want to be mentored or want to mentor don't really know what they're committing to, right? They don't really know. Maybe I come to you and I say, hey, I want you to mentor me. And I have one idea what that is, and you have a different idea. What should either party be aware of? What are you committing to when you get into a mentoring relationship?
Yeah, and of course, this goes to alignment. If they can't align, I don't mentor them. But at the same time, as I fulfill my purpose statement through intuitive interaction, I want to make sure they're a potential leader so that they can go with their self-imposed barriers. It's my responsibility to manage my time to match with those individuals that are otherwise there. And so in that case, they have to put forth their effort. At the same time, as I say, let's say you put forth your effort and you overcome your self-imposed barrier, I may pull back from mentoring because I am not the best person to help you at that stage, right? There might be others that can help you at that stage, and I'm holding you back. And so I am very intentional in a formal mentoring session to say, okay, here's when I'll pull away. There's two ways. One, when you stop trying and you're not making effort. And two, when you've achieved your goal. And in either case, why am I doing that? Because my time is best suited, one, to help somebody else in both cases, or two, to let someone else help you. And in any case, that is clear on the beginning. And then I will be diligent to make sure I either help or pull back appropriately according to that program.
Excellent. Well, mentorship, I think it's often used, not probably, it's often mentioned, but I don't think it's used enough, especially in a society where we're always go, 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 rush, rush, rush. It's so valuable to find somebody that aligns with you and that you align with them and you can help them grow. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I think ultimately, why isn't it used often? It's because we have become so self-interested that ultimately we don't. Again, that's why the authentically mentoring is so critical. We cannot, mentoring is never about ourselves, right? In fact, to mentor, we're giving of ourselves, right? Yet if we look at, and it's interesting as I sit back and study all the time, every free minute we get, do an audit and say, where am I putting that time? Am I putting it in others or in myself? If I said, you have a free hour today and a good day, daylight savings, right? Just as you get that extra day, that extra hour, one time a year, what do you do with it? That one extra hour. And then let's say your boss lets you off work early. What are you doing with that? And if you are thinking about yourself exclusively, that's why mentorship's on the decline. But if you're saying, perfect, then I can go help this other person, right? In my free time, I am investing in others. And that's why I think mentoring is on the decline. Because to be a mentor, you cannot, especially authentically, be about yourself. And I think I see it in a catastrophic decline in America. And as a result, our society is struggling as a byproduct, right? We have a whole group of people that have no idea what to do next because one, we have people that are sitting silent that could mentor, or two, people too selfish and they won't mentor, or three, they won't listen if you did mentor them. And so for all those reasons, I think that we are not developing mentors, but if we're an others focused, others centered mindset, we will look for opportunities to mentor, and then we will challenge those who we mentor. And then I think the world will be a better place as a result.
Thinking beyond yourself, looking to a mentorship opportunity, a relationship in order to put the focus outside of yourself. Very good. Thank you very much. We've reached the end of our time once again, folks. Thank you very much, Reed, for sharing with us. Thank you, listeners. We hope that you invite your friends and family to join us here on ReedFlections. Next time, we continue with our final series of episodes for Season 1, focused on a legacy of purpose. We will talk through, we're going to talk about the chance to sprint through the finish. Sprint through the finish. We're almost at the finish as it is. Until then, I'm Art Calderon. Be purposeful.
Now, if you are a mentor or a mentee, be authentic in that relationship. If you are a mentee, I want to speak to you first. Open up. Be willing to learn. Be willing to apply. Recognize that you are asking for help so that you can be better, and that is going to be difficult and create challenges. If you're a mentor, create a framework for development towards the goals and aspirations of that individual. That is how you do it authentically. If you are someone that hasn't done either one, recognize the world is a better place when you are mentored or you're doing some mentoring. So choose one today.